Hey guys, finally, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tom, and I am a full-time eBay reseller, and I am a stay-at-home dad for my 5 kids, and we've got one on the way. It has been 2 weeks, and here's why. Is that right? Well, are you walking around with Minnie Mouse?
What's that song from Mickey Minnie's Runaway?
All right. So we took the kids to Disney World, and I told you guys, I think I talked about it some, and I had some videos kind of half made to put up, but I just didn't want to work on vacation, so I didn't make them complete and post them while we were gone. And then I deleted them this morning, and I'm like, we're just going to start from here, because I don't want to, you guys don't, eBay is about what's happening right now. So we took the kids to Disney World. It was fantastic, as you can imagine. My kids are so well behaved. It's nuts. So they make it possible for us to go. I shut the store off for 2 weeks and made no sales at all. We got in the van to come back on Sunday morning, and Sunday about noon, I turned the store back on, and I knew everything was on 3-day handling time, so I won't have to ship until, so it was, we drove back Sunday and Monday. Right now it's Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I did have one thing that says it's supposed to ship within the next 24 hours, so it must have not gotten converted when I switched everything to 3-day handling time. But I have 10 sales for a total of like $400 since Sunday. $491. Now, half of that, maybe more, is one item that sold, a computer that I paid $7.50 for, and it doesn't work, but it's about a $600 computer depending on the components. And I'd never even plugged it in, and it's sold as is, parts not working, project kind of deal. But these glasses, I'm going to go grab them, sold and are needing shipped today. So yesterday I shipped one item, which was definitely not my intent. But today I have 18 that have sold in the last, since Sunday. 19 that have sold since Sunday, but one of them already shipped. And so now I gotta go pull and pack all of that stuff. So maybe other people are having a different experience, but in my opinion, NASCAR is not doing as well as it did 2 or 3 years ago, even a year ago. I think that the vintage NASCAR thing is on the decline. Levi picked this up. You can see the tag was torn out. It didn't really damage the shirt, but it's not there anymore. I think this is I still think this is dated 1990. He picked this up for, I want to say it was $2 at a thrift store that sells a lot of men's t-shirts for $2 a piece. Used treasures. Sold for $14.87 plus shipping, but we've had it for a long time. So not a great pickup. And like I say, I think that NASCAR is on the decline as far as vintage collectability, the collectability of their vintage t-shirts. This clock I picked up for $5 in the garage of a picker who knew it was going to be a project and didn't want to mess with it. And I messed with it, hung it on the wall for 5 or 6 years at my house. 3 different houses it's hung at. But one of the kids knocked it down and the mechanism stopped working because it was a cheap Hobby Lobby mechanism. And one of the spindles broke. And we still had it hanging on the wall, like with the spindle that's broken where you couldn't really see it, and it never kept time. And I just didn't feel like playing with it anymore. So I found a clock that we like at a thrift store, and I put it up, and then we replaced that one. And then I was like, I should sell this. It's worth a fortune, even broken. Listed it for $250 plus shipping. And broken, not working. It's $350 clock working. And somebody sent me a $125 offer, somebody sent me a $175 offer, and then somebody sent me a $200 offer, and I took that one. So these starburst clocks of any variety are going to do really well. This is one of the best starburst clocks. The brass and wood and really large dimensions are the ones that do really well. This one you can find branded as Webley, which is what mine was. You can find it branded as Elgin for sure. And then I think there's one other one that starts with an S, like Sessions. I think Sessions has a version of this clock. And that just refers to what the movement is. But the faceplates all look the same. Anytime you find a starburst clock, it's going to do exceptionally well. Mid-Century Modern has been really, really, really good for a very, very long time, and I would say it's lulled some of the like real fervor and heat for it has died down a bit, but it's gonna be collectible and desirable forever, I would imagine. So this clock dismantles, so you can see in the pictures that the spindles come off. And so I disclosed this spindle's broken. These are missing hardware to hold the spindles on, but they stay on. And the mechanism doesn't work. And still sold for $200. So I paid $5. We got lots and lots and lots of use out of it. And then I decided to sell it, and it sold for $200. Buyers all in at $219. So maybe it was free shipping. But anyway, that's pretty good. If you see these clocks for $50, $60 at estate sales, and you do, I see them from time to time. I see them cheap sometimes, but most of the time they're north of $40. But if they're less than $100, I would still probably pick it up, especially if it's in good shape, because you can double up even if it's broken. But the spindles come off and make it significantly easier to ship. How are you going to ship a 24-inch clock with these flimsy spindles? The spindles come off, and then it's still not going to be super fun to package. Picked this Brownie camera up for 75 cents at a yard sale where I picked up a bunch of camera stuff. Nobody's ever going to use this. This is a shelf setter. So I didn't really test it because it's not the kind of thing that's going to ever get used. It's just a neat looking thing in a photography shop, just sitting on a shelf knickknack. At this point, $11, free shipping. I'm in it for 75 cents. I'll probably make $4 once the dust settles on it. If you haven't bought action figures in a long time, then you're probably unaware that now a lot of better action figures come with multiple parts, like switchable heads, switchable hands, like as accessories. Like when we were kids, there would be, blades and weapons and blasters in the sides. Well, they've included replaceable heads and hands with some of these figures. This is actually from a set called Build-A-Figure from Marvel. And so like you can mash up Hulk and Spider-Man, I guess. Anyway, the pieces can be worth something. I bought what I would call a tackle box. It's not even a tackle box. those little tiny parts bins that you see fishing hooks and flies and stuff in. It was a Goodwill for like $3, and it was full of all kinds of parts, and I knew some of them were for the Terminator, which is iconic, and I ended up getting like $15 for the Terminator parts. And these, I got $10, 15 shipped for these two heads. They're from Marvel Legends Absorbing Man, and they'll be easy as they can possibly be to ship, so we'll get those out of here. So I went on Facebook Marketplace locally while I was in Epcot Center at Disney World, and I was just sitting there. Desiree had taken 3 of the kids to the bathroom, and Judah was playing on his phone, and so I just kind of like scrolled through my phone real quick, and I found this pile of video games for $100, and I had to ship it to me, and it showed up while I was gone, and I listed them last night, and Super Mario 3 sold right away. I priced it reasonably low because that sticker issue and you did every trick I know to get that permanent marker off of there, and it would not come off. So I sold it for $16.99, which is like a little bit below the comps. Like I think the comps were $18, and I'm 17, I think it was. And so buyers all in at $18. That's a really good price for that. I'm in these for $5 a piece, essentially. And then another one sold. This one, nope, not that one. It's the other Bandai game, Athletic World. And Athletic World is unique in that, A, you have to have the power pad to play it, but also Bandai made the most expensive video game there is. It looks just like this, pretty much just exactly like this, but it's called Stadium Events instead of Athletic World. And I don't know why Stadium Events got recalled back in the day, but there aren't very many copies of it, and it is worth a fortune now. It is like, we're talking just bare cart that it can be authenticated is like $17,000 or something. I'll throw up some comps. So Bandai video game that if it says Athletic World, mine sold for $14. If it says Stadium Events, it's $14,000. Let me show you this while we're looking. And I didn't notice this. I may have underpriced this one. It sold pretty quick. I didn't notice it was a 5-screw. So on the back, this one has 5 screws on the back. This one has 3 screws on the back. This one has 2 clips at the top. And this one has no clips at the top. So if you see a stack of games in a box like this, you can tell what's 5-screw and what's not if you zoom in just by the tops. But it's called a 5-screw because it has 5 screws. Now, when Nintendo first started making cartridges, for the first 9 months that they were having the cartridges made, they weren't keeping up. So they had another company. I don't know who the other company is, and it doesn't really matter. For the first 9 months, they were having this company make these cartridges, and they were doing 5-screw backs with no clips on the top. And Nintendo, as soon as they took over, were like, we want these to be this way. And I don't know what the difference is for them. And this has a flat, like a combination screw. So you could use a flat screwdriver, or you could use a very small Phillips screwdriver. This has a 6-point tamper-proof. You have to have a specialty screwdriver to use these. But 5 screws you can unscrew yourself. So anyway, if you find, there are lots of games that are available in both variants, where it's 5-screw or 3-screw. The 5-screw variants are always worth more because they're more limited and they're the earliest pressings. And that only slightly matters. It doesn't matter as much as on records. But anyway, This is a 5-screw, so I might have 5 screwed up selling it for 14 bucks, the same price as the regular, but I don't imagine it varies that much. I'm going to look it up just to find out. So yeah, that Athletic World is probably worth about $5 more than the 3-screw variant. Or this is the 5-screw variant, the 3-screw standard one. But I didn't even notice that it was 5-screw until I was holding it up to show you guys. So I undersold it, and that's why it sold super quick. But you know me, I'd rather get it sold than hold on to the money. Hold on to it, hoping to get top dollar. I have $5 into it, and it sold for 15. Tripling my money, I'm good with that. Actually, after fees and everything, I probably doubled my money. So this, my wife was at Goodwill for something. I don't remember what. I think she was looking for baby stuff. And this here, Blackhawks Old Time Hockey label. They make really good quality stuff. And she's like, hey, this is $6. Is it something you could sell? And I said, sure. And that was a month ago that it was listed. And 2 weeks of that, my store was closed. And it sold for 33 plus shipping, buyers all in at $47. So good job, my wife. Legal flat rate. Pinching the sides down gives you a squarer surface or a squarer box to deal with. And then you just push them back out, tape the sides, and a legal flat rate becomes a really good way to ship a really big sweater as long as that goes over and attaches. Now you can secure the thing with tape, but you can't like leave it like this. I'm gonna have to squish it down more, but you can't do this and then tape it and expect that to pass. But if I squish this down and actually get that to fold over and then secure it with tape, then it'll go first class, or it'll go priority flat rate legal envelope for like $7.90 as opposed to whatever $13 it would be to ship to Los Angeles. We are just clicking right through these hats. I paid $2.99 for them. They're new old stock Hardee's Stadium giveaways for University of Illinois Fighting Illini football 1990, it says on there. And they're selling for $12.99 plus shipping. So that was they're selling faster than I expected. I expected to have them for a year or two, but I've had them for about 6 months, and I've sold about half of them. I think this is the 4th one, and I have 5 left, so I'm almost half. So we have a bins store, and I've never been impressed with bins stores as a concept. I've been less impressed with the one here. So I found an Atari game at the Amazon bin store, which I thought was really weird. And I guess if you think about it, people do buy vintage video games from Amazon, and if they returned it, I guess. But anyway, this worked. I sold it for, I picked it up for $2. I'm basically losing money, but it sold $7.50. So cost me $4 to ship. And I got $3.50 left after fees, and it was not worth selling. I probably should have just thrown it in my Atari collection, but mostly the things that I collect from Atari are either like big name, like Donkey Kong stuff, Mario Brothers that are actually on Atari in one title, or like things that I played with my dad, Space Invaders, Defender, that kind of stuff when I was little. So I was like, well, I own this, I'm going to sell it, but I wouldn't pick it up again for sure. Most Atari games aren't worth picking up for more than 50 cents a piece. There are some really odd games that are worth quite a bit of money. There are a lot of adult themed, like pornographic Atari games, if you can believe that are worth a fortune because there's so few prints of them. And there are a lot of, there are some obscure, like Chuck Norris one that is worth like 50 or 60 bucks. But for the most part, if you're paying $2 for an Atari game, you probably ought to expect to keep it because most of them are not worth selling, what I would do is probably pick them up for 50 cents a piece and then lot them all together for $3 a piece. So if you get 100 of them for 50 cents a piece, you paid $50, you might get 250 plus shipping out of them, and then you're making money on the bulk. But Atari games one-off, very hard to make money on. So I was out doing community yard sales like a year ago, and I found a battery in somebody's trash. Like it was trash day on Friday when we were out doing the yard sales, and somebody had a bunch of stuff, like stuff that looked like yard sale leftovers, but it was out at the trash and they weren't having a yard sale. But there was a drill with the battery and charger sitting there. So I brought it home, I plugged it in, and the chuck didn't work. So you couldn't put a drill bit into the drill. I threw the drill away, battery and charger. I have nothing into this. Sold for $19 free shipping. And it's not super light, but it does work. And I could have probably gotten 15 for just this, but I hate to throw a battery away that's perfectly good if it can do somebody some good. So for $19, I sold this old Black & Decker. It was 18 volt. Yeah. Little lamp from Rigid. I bought a whole bunch of tools at Goodwill for $10. Made a fortune. This one sold for $19.24 plus shipping. And I think it's the very last thing of that Rigid set that I had to sell. I think every other item has sold. It would be in this box. Yeah, not all the tools. There was an air nailer that I bought that day that hasn't sold yet, but the all the Rigid stuff has sold, and I made a lot of money with it. I won this at auction for like $2.50. International Harvester. Sold for $18, free shipping. It's not going to cost a fortune to ship, but it'll be a little bit more expensive because I'm going to have to wrap it a couple of times in cardboard and make it bigger so that it doesn't get bent. But $18 plus shipping. It's only been listed a couple of weeks, especially when you consider that I was out a couple of weeks. Originally would have cost $9.99, but it's from 2005, I think. It definitely has a date on it. I just don't see it. Yeah, 2005. So, metal signs do well enough, but like the old ones do super well. These new ones are just decor stuff. They're not collectible the way that what this is trying to look like is. Okay, these plungers came out of some slot cars, and I made a fortune on the slot cars right before we left on vacation. And this one has tape, and only two of the other three are tested, and so they're kind of sold as is. $15 plus shipping. Buyers all in at $22. Just parting things out like this that are old and desirable is an easy way to make a bunch of money. I could have sold this kit all together, but most people aren't looking for the whole kit, and my whole kit wasn't in great shape. So if it was like pristine, I would have kept it together. But I didn't have all the right parts. I didn't have all the parts, so I took it apart and let people buy each piece to finish their collection or to fill out some of their collection, rather than keeping it together and expecting it to sell. Like, it'll sell faster in small pieces than it will the big thing, unless you really price the big thing down to get somebody to buy it who's going to flip it. Parting it out on something like this where every single part is worth significant money, putting it all together, this would have been a pain in the butt to ship, but it could have worked out really well. But this did work out really well too, so that's what we did. Thought I recorded this and I didn't. This is that bright green handled Turapure pitcher. I picked it up for $3. Sold for $16 plus shipping in a couple weeks. maybe less, and it is pretty easy to pack and ship. The thing with these is your thrift store isn't going to mark that up, and they sell pretty well considering that it's just a pitcher. The filters do super well, but if you see that icon, that very recognizable green, comp it. They've come down a lot in the last year, so maybe the market's dying for it. But I did really well on that one, from 3 to 16 plus shipping in just a handful of days. Mechanical keyboards. This is new open box, not from 1995, assumably, or thereabouts. Windows 95 only lasted 3 years, because then they came out with Windows 98. And there's a difference when you press the button on a mechanical keyboard. You can feel it clicking a button underneath of it. So mechanical keyboards are something that people look out for. I have one listed in my store that's been listed a long time. We paid $5 for it at Levi actually paid $5 for this one. Andy paid $5 for the other one that's listed. This one sold for $20 plus shipping, buyers all in at $41. So if I can ship it cheap, and I don't know that I can, it will make some money. If even, selling it for buying it for $5 and selling it for $20, even if I don't make money on the shipping, it's a pretty good return. But it took a long time for this one to sell. The other one hasn't sold yet, and I have one that came with the computer we're about to talk about that should sell for $75. So they're worth money, but you should, if you find mechanical keyboards from the 90s, comp them, because not all of them are great, but they're probably always worth at least looking up. Same garage sale where I picked up this Brownie camera we just talked about, the computer we're about to talk about, whole bunch of camera stuff, GPS stuff that's sold recently. I picked up this Garmin in a box for $1.50. The Garmin itself was in there and already sold for $100. This is how I got it. I think I called it new open box because it's still factory wrapped and it still has the packaging, but it just doesn't have the original bubble thing. $15.99 free shipping, but I literally have nothing into this. I made profit on this a long time ago and wasn't buying it because this was in it. So selling it for $16 is all $16 free shipping. It's probably at least $10 profit. So there's that. I'm not going to pick this up. It weighs 60 pounds. I am going to have a hard time shipping it. Buyers all in at $282, and I paid $7.50. So I still might kind of regret the $200 that I'm going to make selling this, because it's just going to be a pain. I went to Big Lots because it was where I was driving by, and found pool noodles and bought pool noodles, and I'm going to stick pool noodles around it. I'm going to shrink wrap it, put pool noodles around it, shrink wrap the pool noodles, and then bubble wrap it, put it in a box, and then double box it. You bubble wrap that box and put that box in another box, which is just going to be a massive pain, but I believe it'll get it there without too much damage. But it's going to be a lot of work because this thing weighs 60 pounds. So it's not like you just pick it up and bubble wrap it. It's going to be a pain. But I paid $7.50. The buyer paid $218 plus shipping, and the buyer's all in at $282. So there's money, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. Old computer stuff can do well. It's worth comping when you find it. Apple stuff does really well. This Silicon Graphics stuff does really well. Like HP generic 90s computer stuff is the stuff that you're going to find the most, and it's not really worth much. But this sold for good money. It's going to suck to ship. Chicago Bulls championship stuff. 4-time NBA champions, Chicago Bulls. This is single stitch. So there's one line of stitching there on my sleeve. There's a line of stitching that goes the other way, and there's a second line of stitching. single stitch. Salem. Oh, this is Fan Official. So this isn't Salem, but it's single stitch top and bottom. Obviously this is dated. Chicago Bulls championship stuff always does well. Any of the 6 championships are going to sell pretty well. They're all vintage at this point because the Bulls have not been any count in a long time. I picked this up for like $1 or maybe $2 at a yard sale a couple weeks ago, and it sold as soon as I turned my store back on. That sold in a matter of minutes, and then the computer sold within a matter of minutes, and I've sold 19 items since Sunday morning, and now it is Wednesday at 10:30. So the store's starting to kick up again. I listed a bunch of video games and a handful of stuff that I still had on my phone from before we went on vacation, and so I've gotten 25 listings up, and things are starting to kick off. I'm going to try to work real hard to make the store come alive and grow. I want to be way beyond where I was when I left, because Desiree's home, so she can help watch the kids. I can be out here more and be more diligent and try to really scale this thing up, even though I'm bigger than I've ever been. We're going to work on that too. Pretty easy money there. Just throw it in a poly mailer and ship it out. So that just sold since I taped the outro. So I'll put this in here, and then let's go to the outro. I think that's where we're going to end the video. Thanks for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing. All the things that you guys do, you rock. Thanks for patiently waiting. Thanks to those of you who reached out and said, hey man, it's been like 2 weeks, or is everything all right? I greatly appreciate that. Thanks for coming with us on the adventure. We'll see you on the next one.